This past year, AI has become seriously popular, and now a lot of programmers are starting to integrate AI tools like ChatGPT into their everyday workflow. Instead of spending a lot of time on Google finding bits of information and piecing them together yourself, you can now usually just enter a prompt and find exactly what you're looking for. Right now, ChatGPT is the most popular and powerful AI assistant, but Google Bard just got a huge new update. If you're unfamiliar with Bard, it's basically Google's version of ChatGPT. It looks really similar and it even works the same way, where you enter a text prompt in English asking a question or for help, and then the AI assistant will give you an answer or help you with whatever you need help with. We're seeing these AI tools become very powerful, and with Bard's new update, Gemini, supposedly it's more powerful than ChatGPT. Now there are 3 versions of Gemini that were just released. There's Gemini Nano, Gemini Pro, and Gemini Ultra. Gemini Ultra is the most powerful version, and supposedly it outperforms GPT in all of the benchmarks except for one. If we look here, we have the benchmark comparisons with Bard's Gemini Ultra versus GPT-4, and it's outperforming in general reasoning, math, code. The only part it doesn't outperform in is common sense reasoning for everyday tasks. Now, Gemini Ultra is supposed to release early next year, but we do have Gemini Pro, which we could test out right now. And since Bard may actually surpass GPT when it comes to coding and mathematics, I figured let's do some comparisons and give it a shot and maybe build something with Google Bard today. Now, before we get into that, speaking of AI tools, I do want to mention Wix Studio if you are a web developer. If you do web development, Wix Studio to me is one of the most all-encompassing web development platforms right now. You could build high-performing, powerful websites on Wix Studio easily without even knowing how to code. And while some programmers like the full control that coding gives you, Wix Studio does have a powerful IDE in Visual Studio Code where you could edit and add any code you want. And what's cool is they have their own AI assistant integrated into their IDE where you can ask for help with fixing your code, adding new code, or even help with just understanding documentation or APIs. So it's a really cool platform because you could build a bulk majority of your website without coding because they have these amazing high quality templates, no code animations, AI responsiveness. But if you want that full control, you can just go into the IDE and add your own code as you go. I'll link it in the description. I definitely highly recommend checking it out if you're a web developer. All right, so let's get started trying out Google Bard. To use Google Bard, you just go to bard.google.com, which I'll also link in the description, where you have a text input at the bottom of the screen. You enter a prompt. Google Bard will respond in the main interface area. So I'm going to say, I'd like to build a simple website. Do you have any recommendations? So if I were to ask this to ChatGPT, it would immediately respond with some website ideas without asking for more information, but Google Bard would like some more information, which I guess isn't that big of a deal. So I'm just going to say I want to demonstrate Bard's capability with helping me to code for a coding YouTube video, and I want the website to be simple and easy to code. Okay, so Bard gave me some pretty good recommendations, kind of like how ChatGPT would. Interactive greeting card, to-do list app, quote generator, single page portfolio. Those are all pretty standard. In this case, ChatGPT was a little bit more creative and gave me a better recommendation. It recommended a website for educational resources, which I think could be a valuable website for my audience, seeing that we're all here to learn. So I'm going to say I want to build a website for educational resources using HTML and CSS. Can you help me with some template code? Now right away, Bard generates me a bunch of code and styles, which I can copy and paste into my coding editor. The only issue here is that I told it was for coding, and it kind of just gave me general educational resources. So I'm just going to tell it to make it about coding resources. Okay, and now we have the updated code. So I'm just going to go to the bottom and copy that and paste it into my index.html. And then we will also paste the CSS. Only thing I have to change is in the title. It says styles.css. I made mine called app.css. So I'm just going to do app.css, and then let's open and see what it looks like. Okay, so this is the template website that Bard gave me right away for a website about coding educational resources. We have languages, tech stacks, learning paths, challenges, and projects, and then a blog. Now it looks all right, but it's definitely a little bland, so I'm going to ask Bard if we can improve on the styles. I'm going to say, can we add more CSS to make it look more modern and professional? In this case, Bard gave me some suggestions and code snippets, but the code snippets weren't really in like a copy-paste kind of format here. It's more like a comment, so I guess I'll just copy these and see how it looks. Okay, so I added those styles, and yes, it does look a little better already. So now I'm going to enter the same prompts into ChatGPT and see the template code that ChatGPT gives me for this website. Okay, so after the first prompt, this is the template site that GPT gave me, which doesn't really have any information. It just has coding courses with nothing and then a contact us, and the header and footer are right next to each other. So right here alone, just off the initial prompt, I got to give it to Bard. Coding wise, Bard definitely generated a better template site. Now let's see what happens if I prompt GPT for actual information. So I asked ChatGPT for some more content on the page. And now if we look at our website, there is some more content. It's nothing that crazy, to be honest. But yeah, that's pretty much what we get from both of these platforms when we ask for a template website. All right, so I just spent the last 15 minutes or so using Google Bard more to try and improve on this educational website. And what I've come to conclude is that ChatGPT is way better. One of the main things I'm having issues with on Google Bard is its recollection with the conversation. It seems to kind of forget what's going on in the project a little bit more than ChatGPT right now. And also, I'm having a little bit of an issue with it not giving me the full code. I have to keep asking, hey, can I have the full file of code? Because what it does is it'll give me an example of what I'm trying to do and then assume that I'll be able to understand the concept and then add that throughout my entire project manually, which of course I don't want to do, and ChatGPT is a lot better with this. Let me show you some examples. So I asked Google Bard if we could split up my website into different sections for web development, mobile development, algorithms and data structures, and machine learning. I told it that I wanted to include video embeds and links to different tutorials and online courses, and it didn't really assume that I wanted that for each section, so it just gave me each section with a header and a paragraph, which is fine because I didn't specify that. So I did end up specifying that, and I said, hey, I want subsections for those videos, tutorials, and online courses. And instead of giving me the whole file with the HTML, you can see it gives me an example of a section and subsections here. So it was expecting me to take this information and then apply it to all of my sections manually. In my experience, ChatGPT is really good with just giving me the full file of code and making all of those updates for me, so I can just copy and paste instead of having to keep entering prompts. So what I'd have to end up doing with Bard is say, can you provide me with the full code files with all the updated code? Which it then would do, but in this case, it removed all of the main sections and just included the one where it gave me that example with the subsections. So it fixed the problem. It gave me some subsections to my web development section, but it took out all of those previous sections that it gave me a little bit ago, and I didn't ask it to do that. So I'm really confused why it did that. And I think this is because it's kind of losing recollection in the conversation with what's going on exactly and what I'm trying to achieve. So afterwards, I asked, you only included the section for web development. I need all of the other sections as well. And then it added back those other sections, but then it didn't get the concept of, hey, I want subsections for all of the sections like I asked previously. So it's definitely getting confused with my prompts. I think ChatGPT would have done a much better job than this. Then I'd have to explain again, hey, I want every section to be formatted the same way as the web development section with all the subsections for videos, tutorials, and online courses. Finally, after several prompts, which I probably could have done in one prompt on ChatGPT, I finally get what I wanted. I had to keep explaining that the CSS was bland. I asked multiple times for it to update the CSS. It was doing different kind of things. It was doing inline styles, even though we had a separate CSS file, which ChatGPT automatically assumes that I want all my styles separately. So just like a lot of issues I'm having with Bard, I don't really have with ChatGPT. It's a much more smooth process on ChatGPT coding wise at the moment. For the section text, there wasn't a lot of padding going on. So I said, can we add some padding to the section text? And it only assumed that I was talking about paragraph tags, even though there were headers and other kinds of text. So only one line in the section of text was getting padding. So there's just like, you know what I mean, guys? It's just getting really confusing, and I have to explicitly explain every single thing in detail. I meant all of the text in the section, including subsections and section titles. Like, I have to be very specific with Google Bard. In the end, after about 10-15 minutes more prompting, I got something that looks like this. So this is kind of my end result with just template stuff. So it'd have different sections: web development, mobile development, algorithms and data structures, machine learning. I wasn't really impressed with the styles that it was giving after prompting it over and over. Hey, this is bland. This is bland. I want more styles. ChatGPT usually does a much better job with that as well. So which AI assistant's better right now? ChatGPT by a long shot for me. I have to prompt this way more. I have to do like 3 to 4 prompts for this to do what I would get in one prompt on ChatGPT. ChatGPT is much of a smoother process. It usually knows exactly what I want, what's going on in the conversation. Google Bard was a little bit more complicated. Now, you can't write off Google Bard yet because this is only Gemini Pro. Gemini Pro is supposed to be compared more to ChatGPT 3.5, and Gemini Ultra is the one that passes all of those benchmarks, and that's going to come out early next year. I don't know about you guys, but when Bard was first released, when you used it at first, it was horrible. It was getting made fun of on the internet everywhere. I would never use it. It's definitely a lot better than it used to be, and it is somewhat of a competitor, but if I have the choice, I'm pretty much never using this. It's just not nearly as good as ChatGPT at the moment. When it comes to coding, AI assistants are great. You should be using them. It's going to elevate you as a developer. However, I would not be using Bard if I have the option to use ChatGPT at the moment. I just don't think it's fully there yet, and we're going to have to wait to see how Gemini Ultra performs. I hope they improve on a lot of the problems I'm seeing here. Let me know what you guys think of Bard's new update. It's a lot better than it used to be, like I said, but still, I got ChatGPT. Drop a comment below what you think if you want to try it out. I'll just link them both, Bard and ChatGPT, so you can just try them both. ChatGPT to me is really impressive and a powerful tool I use almost every day. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel here. Appreciate you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.